you have to go number 1 or number 2?
Welcome to a brand new edition of Capital City Sports. I'm your host, Meredith Harvey.
And I'm Jonathan Hilliard. We've got a great show with all the latest highlights, interviews, and analysis.
Coming up on Capital City Sports, the SEC is winding up its regular season schedule and the standings are anything but set. We've got the highlights from the latest monumental upset in college basketball.
The NBA's Elite joined up this weekend for a little friendly fun in Las Vegas. We've got the rundown on the 2007 NBA All-Star Weekend.
But first, let's get you caught up on Coach Dave Odom and the USC basketball team.
The Gamecocks hosted the Tennessee Volunteers last Saturday night in Columbia in a must-win SEC matchup. Let's go to the Colonial Center for highlights. Early in the game, it's the Gamecocks establishing some penetration and kick out. Bryce Sheldon hits that three. It's 5-5 early in the ball game. The Gamecocks were hot from the outside all day. As you see here, Trey Kelly, no need to drive. I'll just shoot this from 27 feet. He hits. Gamecocks go up by 3. Later on in the first half, Gamecocks up big by 9 early in this game, but Duke Cruz with the dunk gets the rattle home for Tennessee. Later on in the first half, it's Dwayne Day getting in on the action for the Gamecocks. He hits the three-point jumper, and the Gamecocks go up 20-11, a 9-point lead in the first half over this team that has played pretty well as of late. Pretty hot coming into this game. Chris Lofton trying to bring his team back. He hits the jumper there. Tennessee cuts it to 5 at the half. Second half, here comes Tennessee. Dane Bradshaw driving down the lane. He's got the layup. 3-point game early in the second half, and then it was all Gamecocks from there. This is going to be a fast break for the Gamecocks. Dominique Archie's going to finish with the dunk. That put the Gamecocks up 10 at the 17:30 mark in the second half. Later on, it's Bryce Sheldon again. Trey Kelly with the drive, the dish. Bryce, he ain't scared. He'll shoot that all day long. 11-point lead for the Gamecocks. Now, Brandon Riley-Ross, we don't want you to feel left out, my friend. Take the shot. He hits the shot. It's 49-35, 14-point lead for the Gamecocks. Could they really run away with this one and win one big? It's looking like it. Dwayne Day hits another one. What a bunch of streaky shooters on this team, but they were on this night. And at the end of the game, it's Dominique Archie saying to Brandon Wallace, dunk this. Wallace obliges, and the Gamecocks go on to win this game 81-64. Huge win for this Gamecock team at this point in the season. Trey Kelly had 25 points in the win and 5 assists. Tennessee's Ramar Smith added 15 points and 6 rebounds in losing effort, and the Gamecocks got their 3rd win of the SEC season. Wednesday was not as kind to the Gamecocks, however, as they traveled to Gainesville to take on the Gators. The Rowdy Reptiles came out strong, and Al Horford added 20 points and led his team to a 63-49 victory. Trey Kelly again played very well for the Gamecocks, adding 19 points, but it was not enough to upset the number 3 team in the country, and they would go on to lose 49-63. Coming up for the Gamecocks this week, they will host the Ole Miss Rebels on Saturday at 7 p.m. This Wednesday, the Gamecocks will play host to the Vanderbilt Commodores, who they lost to last week, on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. in the Colonial Center in their final home game of the season.
The Gamecocks baseball team is ready to throw the 2007 season into full gear. We'll get you updated on USC's most successful sports team. But next, we'll tell you what SEC superpower will have to rebound after a tough loss this weekend. That's next on Capital City Sports.
What's it like when you hear your calling? Will you remember where you were? Will you ignore it? Or will you listen? What if it calls you to go halfway around the world? To share your skills. To serve people you've never met. To do things you never thought you could. What will you do when you hear your calling? Peace Corps. Life is calling. How far will you go?
He'll be a senator with integrity.
He has my family's future in mind.
He cares about young people.
He's a hard worker.
He's focused.
Effective.
I believe in Old Relish Packet.
We need a condiment with values.
He'll represent us well in Washington, and he is so good looking.
Old Relish Packet and I were trapped 50 miles behind enemy lines. He saved my life.
This message paid for by Citizens for Old Relish Packet.
If you're not voting, then who are you electing?
It was not. It was like...
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many? Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Continue to execute and knock down their good looks at the goal.
There's one answer. Foster just looked at you and said, hey, Mr. Kellogg, you bet.
The Florida Gators came into last weekend feeling invincible and ready to cruise to an SEC title, but the pesky Vanderbilt Commodores had something else in mind. Vanderbilt Commodores playing host to the Florida Gators, ranked #1 at the time. Vanderbilt fans showing up to this game, a packed house of 14,000. Joakim Noah, the MVP of the Final Four last year, going to work early in this game with the dunk you very much. Gators tie the game early, and Joakim Noah showing off the defensive skills and run the floor, big fella. Look at the dunk by Joakim Noah. Gators go up early 4-2, but here come the Vanderbilt Commodores, 7-2 Florida at this point. Sean Foster lighting it up from downtown. They cut the lead to 2. Vanderbilt wasn't done from behind the arc, though. This is Ross Neltner. He hits the three-pointer. Vanderbilt takes the lead 8-7. They were on fire from three-point land, shot over 60% from behind the arc in this game. Later on, Florida coming right back. Corey Brewer hits the three. They go up 18-17, and then it was the Derek Byers show for Vanderbilt. Look at Byers with the crossover. He gets the foul and the layup. That made it 29-22 Vanderbilt after he hit his free throws. 26-22. Excuse me. You see the replay there. Off balance, Byers hits a shot, and now Byers is going to just toy with Joakim Noah. The crossover, the three, money. 29-22. Vanderbilt takes a 7-point lead with a minute and a half to go in the first half, but Byers wasn't done. A minute, 12 seconds left. Byers is just going to get sick nasty on the dunk right here, the reverse dunk, and it's 31-24. Byers is fired up in Nashville on Saturday. Taking another look at it, the fast break. Byers goes underneath the basket. Thank you very much. Second half, same story. Vanderbilt on fire from outside. That's Sean Foster again, hitting the three-point jumper. Florida's not going away, though. This is going to be Corey Brewer again, trying to bring his team back in it single-handedly. Hits the three. That makes it 52-46, but that's as close as the Gators would get. This is Byers. 68-56 Vanderbilt, trying to stretch out that lead and just take it to the defending national champions, and that's exactly what they would do. Vanderbilt goes on to win this game 83-70, knocking off the top-ranked Florida Gators, ending their 17-game win streak. Joakim Noah did have 15 points for the defending champs in the loss, but Derek Byers was just too much for Florida to handle. He had 24 points. Sean Foster had 24 points, and the Vanderbilt Commodores go on to win and put themselves in pretty good shape to make the NCAA tournament. Now on to the SEC standings. Florida remains at the top of the SEC and clinched with a win over South Carolina this week. Vanderbilt comes in at number 2 in the East, followed by Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, and South Carolina. In the Western Division, Mississippi State takes hold of the West that has just been crazy all year. They take their spot in the driver's seat this week, followed by Ole Miss, Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, and LSU brings out the pack at number 6 and 3. Big Ten is looking strong in the AP Top 10 this week as Wisconsin and Ohio State take over the 1 and 2 spots following Florida's loss to Vanderbilt last week. UCLA comes in at 4, North Carolina stays at 5 despite losing last week, Kansas at 6, Memphis at 7, Texas A&M at 8, Washington State moving up a spot to number 9, and Pittsburgh cracking back into the top 10 at number 10.
Welcome to Capital City Sports' Boardroom. I'm Alex Riley. To my left, AJ Bembry, staff writer for the Carolina Reporter and copy editor for the Daily Gamecock. To my right, Brian Saul, assistant sports editor for the Daily Gamecock, also in his senior semester working for the university's television station. Welcome, guys, to the Boardroom.
Thanks for having us.
All right, first topic, Carolina basketball. Big win over Tennessee this week. What does that give us momentum-wise going into the rest of the season?
It kind of came out of left field, you know. The team had kind of been playing down, had looked for a little while like they had been picking up a little bit of play, and then started to fall down again. I admit the Tennessee game surprised the dog out of me. I don't know what that's going to mean for the rest of the stretch or down the way if they can even try to hope to pick up an NIT bid, but big win at home for sure.
You think this gives them some momentum going into the next 3-4 games?
I think so. It gives us confidence that we've been hitting threes left and right on Saturday afternoon, and hopefully we can do that against another SEC team. And just as long as we stay above 500, I really think we'll be in the NIT.
The big storyline, of course, got to go down to Gainesville on Wednesday. Nobody knows what the outcome of that's going to be, although Florida's arguably one of the best teams in the country. But then come back into town on Saturday, big day at the Colonial Center, senior day for guys like Trey Kelly, Bryce Sheldon, and Brandon Wallace. I mean, what do you expect out of those guys on that day?
It's hard to expect a whole lot more out of Trey Kelly. The guy's been playing his heart out all season long. It's really going to be hard for him to really increase his game and increase his output. The guy's going to play his heart out like he always does. He's a champion, and he really should go down as one of the favorite Gamecock basketball players of the last 10, 15 years.
I mean, what do you expect out of the fans? I mean, Dave Odom said in his press conference today, be there at 6:45 because that's when the ceremony is going to start because game's on Lincoln Financial, so have to tip off at 7. You think the fans should be there at 6:45 and ready to cheer these guys on?
With the way Trey Kelly spent his last 3 years starting for us, fans should be there actually at 6:30 because they owe everything they have to Trey Kelly and the way he's carried this team. And I'd expect a big game out of Bryce Sheldon because he's an off and on, he's a streaky shooter, but senior day, crowd's going, momentum's jumping, three-pointers should be.
And let's not forget about Brandon Wallace. I mean, he has a legitimate chance to break the Carolina record for block shots. He's really closing in on it. If he can pull it off on senior day, his last conference game here in the Colonial Center, it'd be a treat for him to go out on top like that. Really would.
Do you think that with the way that both of those guys, Brandon and Trey, have been playing, the Flyers have come out, we've all got them in the media, that say all SEC for both of them, potential SEC Player of the Year for Trey. I mean, are those legitimate arguments for those two guys?
I think SEC, all SEC for Trey Kelly for sure. That's legitimate, and I think Player of the Year, it's going to be iffy. It's going to be really hard for him to beat Noah. I mean, there's no doubt about that, and in large part to Morris as well. Right. And Wallace falls into the exact same trap just because they play similar positions. So I don't think that Wallace making all SEC is going to be a little bit tougher. Trey Kelly should be able to. You can't find a better point guard in the league, I don't think.
You think Wallace might make a third-team SEC and Kelly on the first? Or, I mean, what are we looking at? Wallace almost averaging a double-double here.
Wallace, he has done pretty good, but they're going to look at his leadership ability. We're 3-9 in the SEC. I mean, he's got good stats, but he wasn't there down the stretch. He didn't carry the team as the way Trey Kelly has. I think Trey Kelly would be first-team SEC, competing against Steele in Alabama, but as for SEC Player of the Year, we're 3-9 in the SEC.
Yeah. Overall, the conference right now, of course, big talk. Vanderbilt gets fined for $25,000 for rushing the court. South Carolina's been in that position, rushed the court against Kentucky. Haven't done it again. No fines for us. This is Vanderbilt's second offense. What are you saying to the league right now if you're a basketball coach whose team beats a nationally ranked team?
What am I saying to the SEC? Right. Come off it. These are college kids. They're having a good time. Let them go. I rushed the court for Kentucky. I had a great time. Let's be kids. It was fun.
All right, let's move on to the next topic. Of course, the big news this weekend, prize recruit Steven Garcia finds himself with a pair of silver bracelets earlier than many expected. But, I mean, no shock to a lot of people. Seemed like the type of guy who at times like to have a little bit too much fun in his younger years. I mean, are you surprised at all to wake up and find out on, Saturday morning that Steven Garcia is at the Alvin Glenn Detention Center?
Well, I was surprised that it happened this early. I mean, it's just 2 months into the semester, if that, and he's already downtown. He's running from cops. I mean, was the cop really fast to track him down? And what's that going to mean when he plays SEC opponents,
Based on how visible he is. I mean, number one, he's an internet celebrity because of the recruiting process,
Right.
and it's no fault of his own. That's what rivals in Seattle, that's what they do.
Right.
But the guy, he sticks out like a sore thumb to begin with, just by the way that he carries himself and the way that he looks. It's nothing, but he's going to get a little bit more attention, especially when he goes downtown like that. He can't be as incognito as other college freshmen do, because we all do it. We've all gone downtown underage, but at the same time, most of us weren't nationally top 10 recruited quarterbacks that programs are counting on.
This is true. Put the visor on for a minute. If you're Steve Spurrier, I mean, what do you do to Steven Garcia? I mean, he hasn't even played a snap at Carolina. Obviously, a lot of the focus of the spring game is going to be on what can Garcia do, contrary to the fact who and the Blowfish are going to be there. But, I mean, what do you do if you're Steve Spurrier?
Well, you wrote a good article in the paper on Monday saying that, he's an excellent quarterback, but he hasn't played it down like you said.
Right.
But people are going to go to the spring game to watch him.
Right.
That's the whole reason why they're there. Chris Culliver, he was a big recruit, but they're really there to see who's going to be the quarterback of the future. So I wouldn't suspend him for the spring game, but definitely you got to penalize him. Don't have him go to 5 points.
If I'm Spurrier, I don't let a single quarterback I ever have ever again go downtown. They're not allowed. Sorry. It's just not going to happen anymore. But in terms of what should be done to him, I don't know. Why not make him go ahead and sit out the spring game? Teach if they can nip this in the bud early and set an example for the rest of the class and for the rest of the guys that are on the team. You can go ahead and solve some issues as it comes into real play next year. He's still going to be able to practice. Spring game, does it really mean all that much in the first place? I don't know. Like you say, it's kind of for the fans just to show up and watch. There's plenty of other stars to come out that you can go out and see. But, if I'm the coach, I go ahead and send a message.
Any Steve Tannehill comparisons here? Long-headed kid getting in trouble for underage drinking? I mean, any comparisons you want to draw to that?
Did Tannehill cut his hair after he got in trouble?
Tannehill cut his hair when Brad Scott got here, so it might be time to get a little bit of a shaved head look. Any thoughts on that?
Don't pull a Britney Spears, man.
All right, that's all we've got for now. Thanks for joining us in the boardroom. I'm Alex Riley. See you next week.
The top dogs of the NBA invaded Las Vegas this weekend for the annual party that is All-Star Weekend. Find out who went home with the hardware next on Capital City Sports.
Alone and crying, boom, boom, bam. Crying, pam, pam, pam. Crying, chaka, chaka, cha. Crying is always good.
It's easy to tell if you've had way too many. But what if you've had just one too many?
Crying.
Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Here we go.
Do you have to go number 1 or number 2?
Hey! What is your problem, man?
You're welcome.
What the heck is wrong with you?
What do you mean?
Don't give me that! All right, what's going on here, fellas?
The missile was about to hit the school. I just acted as fast as I could.
That doesn't change the fact that I don't have a car anymore. Who just throws a person's car at a missile?
You're serious?
Yeah, who's gonna pay for my car?
I guess I could.
Do you even have a real job?
Yes.
Do you have insurance?
I saw the whole thing.
Call me.
The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? What do you think he saw? The bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, the bear climbed over the mountain, and what do you think he saw?
If there's one thing the NBA knows how to do, it's please a crowd. And that's exactly what they did at the 2007 All-Star Weekend in Las Vegas, Nevada.
All-Star Weekend was big for the NBA this year. First, with the higher shooting stars competition, you see the teams here: Scottie Pippen representing Chicago, Bill Laimbeer anchoring the Detroit team, if you want to call it anchoring. In the actual shooting competition, Bill Laimbeer holding it down for Detroit, and the Pistons team was pretty solid in this competition. There you see Chauncey Billups hitting the half-court shot, putting the Pistons at 50.9 seconds. The Chicago team had a problem here. They actually shot out of turn, and although Scottie Pippen's going to hit this shot and actually appear to win it for the Chicago team by a margin of 2 seconds, they would be disqualified for shooting out of order, and the Detroit team went on to win the higher shooting stars competition. There you see them sporting the trophy. Chauncey Billups getting kind of used to sporting all this hardware lately. This was the headliner, though, the PlayStation Skills competition with some of the best talent in the NBA. Here you see Dwayne Wade dribbling in and out of the obstacles. He's going to hit his pass here. He's going to hit his bounce pass here. This is in the first round, or excuse me, the second round. This is to win it here. The three-pointer goes, his other pass goes, and he almost sets a record, beating his time from last year here. Doesn't quite do it. Flush it home, D-Wade. Come on now. Give the fans a show. There you see his competition, Kobe Bryant, congratulating him. Kobe would struggle in the second round of this competition, though. Kobe, you can't pass. Give it up, buddy. You're a scorer. Kobe's struggling with the pass. Hey, can you blame him? He never does it. He doesn't have to practice. He's still, after the third try, can't get it through. Finally, it goes in on his fourth try. Dwayne Wade is your PlayStation Skills champion for 2007 All-Star Weekend. It was a Miami Heat weekend as Jason Kapono was competing in the Foot Locker three-point competition, and the kid was on fire. The third-year man out of UCLA, the leading three-point shooter in the league this year, lighting it up in the PlayStation the Foot Locker three-point contest. He had 24 in the second round, which, by the way, if you don't know, that's pretty darn good. Jason Kapono would go on to win this competition. D-Wade celebrating the victory of his teammate. And there you see Panama Shaq in attendance. Dirk Nowitzki, the competition for Jason Kapono, was pretty impressed. Michael Jordan, no, he's not competing in this. He's judging the slam dunk contest along with co-star Kobe Bryant. And this is Tyrus Thomas at the beginning of this competition, doing a little Kenny Smith impersonation. The judges were not so impressed. They were, however, impressed with this kid, Gerald Green, with the windmill dunk off his buddy Paul Pierce's toss-up. Getting almost all 10s from the crowd. Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley actually referred to him as the Russian judge for giving Gerald Green a 9 on this dunk right here. You see the replay. Gerald Green is almost looking down in the basket, folks. And now the little guy, the crowd favorite, Nate Robinson, going up and getting it. This is in the first round. That was his very first dunk. Just elevating his performance from last year. He was a defending champ. And again, you see Jordan just hating on him, brother. Good gracious alive. Nate Robinson representing for New York. You see the replay. Look at the kid get up. He's 5'9", by the way. 5'9". What a dunk. This is the Atlanta kid, Dwight Howard. Doesn't look all that impressive. What you don't realize is he just put a sticker 12 feet up on the basket. 12 feet. He wanted to do the dunk. He wanted to raise the goal up to 12 feet. The NBA wouldn't let him, so he said, all right, I'll just put a sticker with my face on it 12 feet up on the basket. And again, judges, I don't know what competition you're watching, but let's take another look at this. Dwight Howard catches the ball with one hand, sticker with the left hand, throws it home. What showmanship from Dwight Howard here in the Sprite Slam Dunk Contest. Getting no love from the judges. He wouldn't even advance to the next round. Your final look at it. Unbelievable by Dwight Howard, the third-year man from Atlanta. Nate Robinson in the second round, doing a little 360, a little help from his teammate David Lee there. That was enough to get him to advance. But we go back to Gerald Green's dunk in the second round. The kid showing some homage to D. Brown, the former Boston Celtics, with the pumps, tearing away the jersey. He's got the old school D. Brown throwback jersey on, and he's using his competitor Nate Robinson in this dunk. Oh goodness, Paul Pierce watching on, he knows what's coming. The peekaboo, old school D. Brown over Nate Robinson. Gerald Green's a little fired up, and as he should be. Michael Jordan again gypped him and gave him a 9. How do you give a kid a 9 on that nasty, nasty dunk? Let's see the replay here. You see Gerald Green up and over Nate Robinson with the dunk. He would run away with this competition and was the new champion in the Sprite Slam Dunk Contest this year. The Gamecock baseball team had their first setback last Sunday when they blew a 5-run lead to let the Citadel come back and win 7-6. James Darnell for the Gamecocks was 1 for 3 with 3 RBIs in the game, and Brian Altman chipped in for the Citadel and was 2 for 4 with 3 RBIs. The Citadel would go on to win that game 7-6. This weekend, the Gamecocks will host Eastern Michigan in a 3-game set at Sarge Frye Field. The home opener will be a chance for Harris Honeycutt to show off his stuff, as he is still unbeaten in a Gamecock uniform. The Gamecocks will face the Eastern Michigan Eagles at 3 p.m. on Friday and 1:30 p.m. on Saturday and Sunday. That's all for this episode of Capital City Sports. Tune into the show every Thursday at 8 p.m. on SGTV.
And make sure to catch our 30-minute baseball preview special airing all this week. I'm Meredith Harvey.
And I'm Jonathan Hilliard. Have a great week.
Do you have to go number 1 or number 2?